Hello and welcome to Public Speaking and Presenting Made Easy. My name is Mark from Momsy Speaks Academy, and if you're here for the first time or the 18th time, you're very welcome. It's Christmas and we've got a wonderful show for you this week. Now, if you've been enjoying The Crown, and we love it here at Faithful Towers, actually we spent the turn of the millennium, December the 31st, 1999, with our good friends Sam and Phil and their special guest, Prince Charles. We played games, we ate, we watched the fireworks, and my phone did not ring, my pager did not go off, which was a relief because I was on call for the IT department. The world did not stop at midnight, the computers did not melt down, the millennium bug did not strike. So for the 2 years leading up to the millennium, all I did at work was to work on fixing old computer programs to try and solve the millennium bug. Some of the programs I was working on were as old as me, first written back in the 1970s. Yes, we did have computers back then, but they were as big as a room. Now, an estimate from the United Nations says that between $300 and $500 billion was spent solving the millennium bug, or Y2K as it was known. But was it real? Was it a hoax? Was it made up? Was it exaggerated? Well, it all started back in 1988. When a batch of tinned meat was rejected by a supermarket because it appeared to be 80 years past its sell-by date. And then 4 years later, Mary Band of Minnesota was invited to join the local preschool because the computer thought she was 4 years old. Actually, Mary was 104 years old, so she said thank you for the invitation, but politely declined. Now, the first general-purpose business computer was called Leo, and it was introduced by Joe Lyon to run his empire of British tea rooms in 1951. That's right, Lyon's Tea Rooms. Cake was the driving force behind the technical revolution. So next time you sit playing Candy Crush on your mobile phone, realise you've got Battenberg to thank for that. Anyway, back in 1951, computer memory was really, really, really expensive. So they did everything they could to save space. One of the things they did was to shorten dates. So 1951 was stored as 51. 1999 would be 99. And there is the problem, because when the year 2000 arrived, it was stored as 00, and the computer programs got confused. Did 0 mean the year 0 when Jesus was born? Or did it mean 1900? Or the year 2000? Or something else entirely? Early in my career, when I was working at Lloyds Bank, we found a Y2K bug in the system that controlled all the ATM cash machines. And if we'd not fixed it, then they would have all gone offline just as people were trying to get cash out just after midnight on New Year's Day in order to try and pay for their taxis home. Now, almost all of the major problems were found and fixed well before the turn of the millennium. So no one really noticed any problems. Apart from that poor chap in New York, who allegedly got a bill for $91,000 because his Blockbuster DVD was 100 years overdue. Now, overall, there was no fuss, there was no panic, and pretty much everything worked. All minor problems were spotted and fixed really quickly. So this all gave rise to the conspiracy theory that the whole thing had been a waste of money, the whole thing had been a hoax, because hardly anyone witnessed any evidence of the problem on New Year's Day, 1st of January, year 2000. Well, the truth is nobody saw any problems because that was the day that me and all of my nerdy friends really did save the world. You didn't see any Y2K problems because we'd done such a good job. You're welcome. Just because you can't see it, that does not mean it's not true. And I was thinking about this the other day as I stood in the high street outside the local baker's. If you notice, cake is like a theme that runs through my life. Anyway, I stood outside the baker's and I was looking at all the bollards and the social distancing signs, that there were very few people in the high street. And I wondered about all the different ways people have reacted to COVID. Is it real? Is it exaggerated? Do we need all of these precautions? And a lot of it depends on your lived experience. What have you seen with your own eyes? And I know that in my household, we've been really blessed and protected this year. I know probably less than 10 people that have told me that they have ever contracted or thought they've contracted COVID. And it wasn't until 2 weeks ago that anyone in my circle of acquaintances actually succumbed to the disease and died. So some things you can't see until actually you really see them and you see their effects. Now, my daughter, she lives and works in inner city Nottingham, okay, which is a tier 3 area of the country. She's in a large school. And for her, the reality of COVID that she sees every day is very, very different. She can't not see it, every single day. And there are some truths, there are some realities that you really, you don't see them. You don't appreciate them. You don't recognise that they're there until the day that you really see it for yourself. And then, of course, you can't unsee it. You notice it everywhere. And our job as speakers, our job as presenters is to help people see these truths that they would have otherwise overlooked, or to show them something from a different angle, to look at things from a different perspective that leaves the audience enlightened, educated, and inspired. I think one of the enduring impacts of lockdown and COVID is going to be a change in the way that our business operates. And with so many people, they're now familiar, if not comfortable, with the whole idea of online meetings. I think they're really here to stay. They're more efficient with people's time. They're cheaper. They're more environmentally friendly by cutting out all of that travel and traffic. I think we're all going to be doing a lot less business travel for in-person meetings for some time to come, maybe forever. Which means, of course, in this new disjointed remote working world, many of your colleagues and those people who influence your career progression, those people in your business that make the decisions, they're really only going to know you from online meetings. No more are you going to have a chance encounter in the canteen or around the water cooler. Which means the way that you present yourself, the way that you can influence and inspire people through a webcam is going to be the single most important factor that's going to influence your career progression, your job security, and the growth of your business over the next 12 months. Because it's going to be the only way that most people will ever get to know, speak, and interact with you. They're going to judge all of your abilities based on your competence and ability to sit down and speak to a webcam, your ability to run a smooth Zoom meeting, and your effectiveness when you present a webinar. Online communication and presentation skills are going to be the essential survival skill for 2021. Now I really want to help you flourish in 2021 to accelerate your career or your business by really making an impact every time you present, every time you speak online. And to help you do this, I've got 2 courses that I not only teach you everything you need to know in order to master online presenting and speaking, but give you the opportunity to practice and get coaching feedback in a small group, in a safe and relaxed setting. That's what people tell me they love about Marvelous Speakers Academy. I felt safe, I felt encouraged, I did something I didn't think I could do. That's the kind of feedback we get. So Online Presenting Made Easy is a 1-day course, and it's an ideal introduction to online presenting, to online networking, and it's great to help you boost your confidence and practice how you use all of the technology. Or there's Sit Down and Speak, which is a 3-day course. Actually, day 1 is exactly the same as Online Presenting Made Easy. And then we go on in day 2 and day 3, we dig deeper, we take it further, we practice more. So actually, by the time you get to the final afternoon on day 3, you've got a fully written and practiced 30-minute keynote presentation that you will then share with the group and get some final feedback. And that could be something you're then ready to take straight on the road to promote your business or present your project to your boss to get that promotion. And both of these are live talk courses. Just you, me, and a small group of friendly people in a Zoom together for 1, 2, or 3 days. Now, booking for both of these courses is now open in January and February, and you can find out more and you can book your place. Just go to malmesburyspeakers.com/presenting. That's malmesburyspeakers.com/presenting. Now, I know for not everyone is able to kind of work around dates in the diary when for a live course. So perhaps a self-paced video course is more suitable for you. You can do it when you like, wherever you like. And I've got a great 2-course bundle. It brings together my Speak with Confidence, which is my introductory course, and Speak with Clarity, the intermediate level course. They used to both sell these online video courses for £197 each. Okay, But right now you can get both of them in a bundle, both of them for the very special price of just £67. So you want to find out more and sign up to get instant access, just go to malmstryspeakers.com/confidence. And I'm going to put all of those links in the show notes. Now, before I introduce today's special guest, I just need to close that loop on the whole kind of Prince Charles New Year's Eve celebrations. See, I did indeed spend the millennium partying with Prince Charles. Well, he was a prince called Charles, not the Prince of Wales. He was actually a prince from Zambia, but his name really was Charles. Now, I'm delighted to introduce my special guest for today. She's a fellow member of the Professional Speaking Association. Charlie was a finalist in this year's Speaker Factor competition. She's also a marketing specialist, a LinkedIn guru, a podcaster, and all-round champion of curiosity. Welcome, Charlie Whyman.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. So, just by way of an introduction, Charlie, what is it that you do? It says they're LinkedIn consultant, but that's just a bit of what you do, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, I help people in three key areas. The first one is prioritize. So I help people prioritize what they need to do in their business from a business development point of view. So looking at like what sales do they need, and then how many leads do they realistically need to achieve that. So priority is the first one. The second one is leverage, because so many businesses are sitting on a massive mountain of value already. They're just not necessarily leveraging all of the assets that they have available. So I help them do that. And then the final thing is systemize. So create systems and processes in each step of that customer journey so that they can save time, create a bit more freedom, and just basically reduce all of the stress and the overwhelm and the frustration that comes with marketing and sales.
Right. Because unless you're into sales and marketing, I mean, whenever I talk to people who kind of run their own business, I get a lot of people like that who come on my courses, or people that I meet through the PSN networking. And unless they happen to be a marketing or salesperson, the thing that everyone says they find the hardest about running a business is the sales and the marketing.
Yeah. I mean, no, you don't go into business to become a great marketer.
Right.
Unless you are a marketing professional. And even marketing professionals struggle to do their own marketing. It's really difficult to sort of shine a mirror up and look inwards as to what's going on. And funnily enough, I actually work with a lot of marketing agencies and branding agencies to have a look at their overall strategy. Because a lot of people come to me for support in leveraging LinkedIn as a tool. But LinkedIn, like I said, it's just a tool at the end of the day. You need those foundations in place. And that's where like I come in, and my strengths really play into that, because I have a look at how the business works, because marketing needs to support the business. It's a way to support sales. It's a way to support the business goals. And I think too many people just kind of go down that route of, right, I just need to get in front of as many people as possible, throw the messaging out there and just hope something sticks. But in reality, that's not just the case. You know, you have to be a bit more targeted. And a lot of the clients that I work with don't actually need that many customers on a monthly or yearly basis. So, you know, they don't need to be spending thousands of pounds on advertising. They don't need to be doing all of these things that the gurus and the other people out there that are telling them that they should do. But if they know what their priorities are, they know how to leverage the things that they're doing already, and then create systems and processes. That's really where the magic happens, and they can do sort of more with less, essentially.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, I'll have 3, please. That sounds like what we all need. Now, we first met at the PSA Speaker Business Summit a couple of weeks ago, and I saw you were in the finals of the Speaker Factor competition. Tell us a little bit about your story. Why you decided to enter Speaker Factor, or how you first got involved with the PSA, the Professional Speaking Association.
It was great. It's a great question. So, believe it or not, public speaking makes me very nervous. So the Speaker Factor competition and any kind of professional speaking puts me way outside of my comfort zone. So I not going to bore you with the details, but I had a baby a year ago, and as a result, I'm not able to do the sort of sports that I love doing because of an injury. And I'm very competitive. So a client of mine recommended the PSA. So I went along to a meeting, and that was the first meeting that they started talking about speaker factor. And I was just like, oh, why not? That sounds interesting. Let's enter it, without really thinking about who the audience was or what it was. So after entering and then realizing what I'd got myself into, I then started to think, oh God, what am I doing? But you know what? The experience has been absolutely incredible. It has really pushed me outside of my comfort zone, but it's given me this, the framework which I talked about, which is the Otter. That came about because of the PSA and because of this competition. I always used this framework with my clients, but I never had a name for it. So for me, actually doing Speaker Factor has completely transformed how I talk about what I do. And also, it's just such a great experience. I mean, the fact that I won the East Midlands round of it was exhilarating and incredible. And it was a massive boost to my confidence. And then doing it at the national conference as well, meeting everybody else, getting that feedback. And also just, the magic happens when you push yourself outside of your comfort zone. So the whole journey and process and everything like that has been absolutely incredible. I didn't win, but I felt like I was winning. It was a big high, and it's presented other opportunities since. So it's been really good.
Yeah, I can completely empathise. The year that I entered, I got through to the finals and didn't win. But as you said, the actual journey, you learn so much. And it's interesting to say that it really helps you clarify your own message and what it is for your own business. And that's something that I find a lot actually when I work with people who come on one of my public speaking presenting courses for people who are entrepreneurs and solopreneurs or even leaders of established businesses. Just the act of wanting to kind of produce a talk or presentation really helps to clarify the thinking and clarify the message, which only then helps to grow the business, because when we talk about what we do, no one's a better salesperson than you to talk about what you do. And when the passion comes alive and you have that real kind of clarity, that breakthrough moment, it can be transformative, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think if you can distill a story that you can tell from the stage, whether it's virtual or in person, in 5 minutes, then it helps you really think about what you're saying to people, how you're saying it, how you're engaging with them. And it does really, really challenge you to be more succinct about what it is that you're saying. Because I think more often than not, when we speak, when we present, when we do these things, it takes us twice as long as we really need in order to say it. So the competition, because you had a very tight time limit of 5 minutes, it does challenge you and push you in the same way that working with somebody else or getting some proper training. Because I think I'd never had any proper training. It was one of those that I just thought, you know what, I'll do this. It'll be a bit of fun. And it did push me outside of my comfort zone. I did work with a speaking coach as a friend of mine. And he was actually the person that challenged me. And he just said, Charlie, you're trying to fit too many steps into a 5-minute talk. Can you distill this into 4? I couldn't distill it into 4, but I could into 5, which is where the Otter came from. And it makes things so much easier to talk about when you have a framework, and you can also talk about an analogy or a metaphor and relate it in some way, because it becomes a lot more memorable. I think as well, after the Speaker Factor competition, people kept coming up to me and saying, oh, I love the Otter. And everybody kept talking about the Otter. The comments were full of Otter-related puns, and it just helps you stand out. It helps you become more memorable, and it helps your presentation and your talk kind of live a little bit longer as well, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I thought your talk was utterly brilliant. Now, one of the things I thought you did really well, and it was interesting just watching the Speaker Factor competition, where you had, it was probably 8 or 10 people doing these 5-minute talks, one after each other on Zoom. And
12 people, so many.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people, I mean, everyone gave a really good talk. I mean, they were all kind of regional winners. But one of the things I thought was noticeable, that some people not only had a great talk, they had staged themselves really well, and this is one of the things I think made you kind of stand out. And I don't know whether it was something that you did kind of subconsciously because of your marketing background, but the way that you kind of framed the room, you had the words, the Otter wording over you, the clothes that you were wearing matched the decor of the room, matched the highlights, and all that kind of stuff, which is something actually people often forget about, not only when they're presenting in general, but especially when we're doing this whole kind of Zoom thing, where you need to think about the environment that you're in so that you're not distracting, but you're actually adding to your message. I mean, was this something you put a lot of thought into?
I would love to say that I did, but no, unfortunately not. It was pure coincidence, to be honest, because I'd literally just moved my office, I think about a week before I did the East Midlands round of Speaker Factor. So the wall was already this kind of bluey colour. The blue is my colour. I know that it's a colour that works really well for me. So I had intentionally chosen a blue jumper to wear for the East Midlands round. So I wore that coordinated with the wall. And my partner has a prototyping and small scale manufacturing company. And I'd asked him to laser cut me the acrylic letters to go to be used as props. So I knew I wanted the prop, but the only colour of acrylic he had was blue. So it was pure coincidence that everything came together. But that was one of the pieces of feedback from each of the 3 regional judges that said that it all worked really well together. And since then, I've really noticed how people stage themselves. So on Zoom networking meetings, on video also, live calls, live training, things like that. I notice it so much more now, and it does make such a significant difference when you've got some staging and when the colours coordinate, and the speaker wears colours that complement their skin tone, their eye colour, and things like that as well. It's amazing how big a difference it makes.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the episode that's just gone live was with Jo Baldwin Trott, who's another PSA member from London, but she's a branding consultant, and so I made the mistake of asking her what I should do better. so an hour later, but one of the things she said was is that I was wearing a black shirt in a black chair, and so basically all you saw was this kind of floating head over this sea of black. So I'm deliberately wearing some colours today, but it's worth thinking about in terms of staging. But you don't have to spend a lot of money on it, like you said. It's just think about what's behind you. You don't even need a dedicated room, and my sauna or garden shed, whatever you want to call it here. This is my daughter's bedroom, and this is a wall divider from Amazon. A room divider, and I just hang some pictures on it, some hue lights to put some colour, and the whole thing was probably £150. But it turns a bedroom into something that's less distracting. And I think for people who are working at,
resourceful.
Sorry, say that again.
You have to be resourceful. So I think yes, it's great going to all of the new shiny objects that you could get to enhance what it is that you're doing. But whether you're just getting started or you're years down the line, the more you can look inwards about the tools, the assets and the resources that you have available to you, and really maximize those and use those to your advantage, the easier you can make things. And it is amazing what you can do with the things that you already have lying around. And sometimes it's just a case of, moving things around, shuffling things, like even just getting a green screen and propping it up, and then you can use the different backgrounds. Obviously not go crazy with the different backgrounds. I've seen a lot of people misuse that. Yeah. But yeah, you can achieve so much with so little. And this is coming from a huge tech fan and, the sort of president of the Shiny Object Syndrome Club. So.
Yeah. And I'm the vice president of that club. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So you mentioned the Otter then as something that you were talking about in your Speaker Factor talk. Tell us a little bit more. So what is Otter? Is it something to do with your business?
Yes. So the Otter is a framework, and I'll walk you through it. So the O stands for objectives, because in business, in marketing, pretty much in anything that you do, you kind of need to know what you're working towards. And if you set yourself measurable objectives that are achievable, they're relevant to what it is that you're doing, then it just helps you understand how to prioritize and also how to focus your time, your budget, and also your energy, which is really, really important. So that's what the O stands for. The T is all about tools. And I say, you're standing on a mountain of value already. So many businesses have so many assets and resources and tools at their disposal that they are not leveraging or they're not taking advantage of. So the T basically looks at what you have available and how you can leverage them and get the most out of the things that you've got, or what tools you need to help you achieve your objective. So it will help you identify what's missing. The second T is all around training. So looking at your gaps in knowledge and experience and skill set, and looking at, do you need to work with an expert? Do you need to find a mentor? Do you need to do a training course? Or do you need to have a look through some training that you've already done? But it just kind of prompts that thought and gets you thinking about that. The E, that stands for expectations. And especially in marketing and sales, so many people get frustrated and disappointed because they're either working with people and they have a misalignment of expectations, or they set themselves completely unrealistic expectations. So it's important to consider, right, okay, what is the minimum that you need to achieve? So, for example, I work with a lot of clients that are sending out, hundreds of connection requests, hundreds of direct messages to people, and they could only work with 1 or 2 clients a month. So, it's reining it in and just really understanding the difference between what you want and what you really need. And with expectations, I look at 3 key areas. So what's a good result? So what's the kind of minimum that you want? What's a better result? So what would you be really happy with? And then what's the best result? So if you really challenge yourself, what could you achieve if you really put your mind to it? And then kind of having those 3 benchmarks just helps set the scene, and it just helps you work either with yourself, so you're not disappointed again and you're not setting yourself up to fail, or working with a team and that you're all heading in the right direction and you know what everybody's responsibility is. And then last but not least, the R stands for reflect and review, because again, so many people and so many businesses they run marketing campaigns, they run sales campaigns, they do these activities, but they don't take the time to reflect and review on what has happened, learn from the mistakes, learn from the successes and the wins, celebrate the successes and the wins, and just understand kind of what you need to stop doing, what you need to start doing, and what you need to continue doing. So each of the letters of the Otter basically prompt thought and help you map out a plan so that you're focusing on the right things instead of kind of hoping for the best or just trying things out all the time. So yeah, that's what the Otter stands for.
Brilliant. No, that's really helpful, and it's a great framework just to keep in mind the things that you need to do, because it's so easy just to focus on one thing and forget to stop and reflect and actually measure. Is this working? Do I need to do something different? And all those kinds of things. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, as an example, a lot of companies and individuals, they'll say go to an event or a trade show, either as a visitor or as an exhibitor, and they'll turn up with things that they've already got or hope for the best and kind of leave disappointed, thinking, oh, I've not seen as many people as I hoped I'd see, or I've not had as many conversations with the right people that I wanted. Whereas if you could apply the Otter before you go to the event, ask yourself, right, okay, well, what do I really want to achieve here? What am I working towards? Who are the right people? Then it gives you a bit of a plan and it helps you understand how to focus your efforts. And like years ago, I used to manage a sales and a marketing team. And every time we went to an event, we set the team objectives, and each different member had a different set of objectives depending on what their role was or what the outcomes of the event. So it wasn't just a case that we were all standing at the booth hoping to meet the right people and just leaving it to chance. We were being very intentional and purposeful in our activities, and then reviewing that at the end of each day, so that we didn't get to the third day or the second day and just think, oh, I wish I'd have had time or I'd found time to do these things. And you're not disappointed. And anything that didn't work or go to plan, you can review that and think, right, okay, how could we have done that differently? Or what could we do to improve that next time? So you're constantly learning and you're never failing, because everything that doesn't work is a learning point. So it just helps you get more from what it is that you're doing, and it just helps you be more purposeful and intentional with your activities, so that you're not leaving it to chance or hope. And yeah, you get more results that way, and it makes you all more effective and less frantic and frustrated and overwhelmed and all these things that everybody feels when they do sales and marketing.
For sure. Okay. So just speaking about, you mentioned learning then. So just to swing back to presenting and public speaking, you said it wasn't your natural kind of comfortable place, and you've had to kind of, really kind of take yourself by the scruff of the neck and force yourself to do it. So what's your your kind of one top tip that would help someone who is perhaps a reluctant public speaker or online presenter, but they know that they have to, either because they've just gotten a new job and it's part of the spec, or they're trying to run their own business and they know they need to get out there and speak about it. What's Charlie's top tip?
My top tip is to tell your brain that the feeling of nervousness is exactly the same feeling as excitement. So before you go and speak, and you're feeling really nervous, your palms are really sweaty, your face is red, and you're just thinking, what on earth am I doing here? Because trust me, I feel this every single time. So every time you feel that, just tell yourself that you're excited, because what you're doing is you're tricking your brain and you're just making things a little bit easier for you. That is my best tip for managing that. Brilliant.
No, that's pure gold. Charlie, thank you so much for your time. It's been great to chat with you, to hear again about the Otter, some top tips there for people, whether they work for someone else or work for themselves. I think applying the Otter framework can help you be more effective no matter what it is that you're tackling. So thank you very much. Where can people find you online if they want to connect with you? What should they do?
Best place is LinkedIn. I think this episode will be released around the same time that I will be launching my new website, because I'm actually going through a bit of a rebrand at the moment. So if you're watching this or listening to this, it's charliewhyman.com is my website. It will soon be curiousb2bmarketing.com is the new one. But the easiest way is LinkedIn. Send me a connection request, but let me know. So personalize the connection request and tell me that you listened to this podcast, and then tell me what your biggest takeaway was. If you write it down, it will stay with you for longer. So yeah, do that.
Brilliant. Top tip number 2. Charlie Whyman, thank you so much for joining us on Public Speaking and Presenting Made Easy. It's been a real pleasure. Speak to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Bye for now. Cool. We're done. Was there anything you didn't get to talk about that you were hoping to cover?
No, not really. I think I do actually have a resource on my website, which I have my own podcast. You wouldn't think it, would you, based on how we started this? Oh dear. But I have my own podcast, and I have a free guide, 7 ways to market your business for free, and speaking is one of the 7 ways. So if you want to include the link to that, then you can do.
That'll be great. I can stick that in the show notes.
Yeah,
it'll be something for my mum to read, my other listener.
I was going to say, so if you're 13 episodes in, how many listeners have you got?
I don't know. I'm hosting on Squarespace, so I don't get analytics from that.
You're not putting it onto like Apple Podcasts or anything like that?
Oh no, it is, but you don't get very good metrics from that. Not that I've been able to work out.
Who's your host?
Sorry?
Who's your podcast host?
Squarespace.
So Squarespace will push your podcast out to Apple Podcasts?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, which is why I use them, because it's free. Cause it's included in the... So basically you put your key and all that kind of stuff into the settings for the... Basically, you create another blog module, then you put your details in, and it will then format the RSS feed in the way that Apple want it for podcasts,
okay.
And Spotify and Google. So literally, you then just give your blog feed. So if you've got MP3s in there, it all just kind of works. But the only trouble is you then just get the RSS read count, which I think is overinflated, because I can't believe there's hundreds and hundreds of people who are listening already, which is kind of what it says. So because I think it will count everyone who goes to the blog page.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because it doesn't differentiate between an MP3 download and a stream and a read the text. That makes sense.
Right, I'm with you. Yeah. I don't know if it's of interest, but my last podcast guest is a guy called Mark Asquith, who's the British podcast guy. He's a speaker. If you want to get him on the podcast, and he talks all about podcasting. So if you ever want to move platforms, the Captivate is his platform. That's where I host my podcast, and you get really good analytics on that. So it may be something for the future, or it's an interesting podcast episode. But it's weird about analytics because I went onto YouTube and I was like, wow, that episode was only launched last Wednesday and it's had 577 views already.
Wow.
Like, none of my YouTube videos get that many views. So it must just be because everybody wants to know about podcasting. So
yeah. And it might be the speaker factor bump as well, because then just give you a bit more visibility in that sphere as well. And then, yeah. Cool.